kababayans, thank you so much for joining us here. This is going to be a very amazing discussion. We are so proud as Filipinos and Filipino Americans of our passion for sports. And one sport in particular is the game of basketball. And this is really Filipino basketball all over the world. This is our virtual pavilion. And what better way to have an intimate conversation and to really celebrate our beautiful Filipino culture and our diversity here with Pistahan in this pavilion is with none other than the man, the legend. I call him our godfather of basketball, Mr. Raymond Townsend. Thank you so much. So great to see you, my friend.
Thank you, Franco. Thank you for inviting me. And thank you, Carolyn.
What was it like getting drafted in 78 and kind of going through that? And what was the time like for Filipinos growing up back then?
First of all, it was a tough struggle to accomplish the things that we did in basketball, because there were no other real Filipino role models in terms of, everybody had somebody to look up to. In fact, there wasn't that many Asian Americans, I don't believe, back in 1978. So there were some hurdles, some definite hurdles, in terms of Filipinos. They always, we were labeled, we were too small, weren't quick enough, weren't big enough. They always found some kind of reason why Filipinos would never make it. When I got to UCLA, I was one of 14 other All-Americans. In fact, Coach Wooden, when he recruited me, he actually told me, he said, Raymond, we want you, but I want you to understand. And he said, and mind you, I'm gonna recruit 14 other All-Americans during your 4 years. Are you okay with that? And I said, yeah. Yes, sir. Bring them on. I don't think people understood the Filipino heart. It's a heart that is never gives up, always perseveres. The Filipino heart is one that believes all things are possible, and we overcome anything we have to do for our family, for the good of our family. So after UCLA, I honestly thought I was going to be with the LA Lakers, because Jerry West called me right before the draft. Wow. And said, Raymond, we're going to keep you in LA. We're taking you. And how do you feel about that? I said, man, I played at UCLA. All of a sudden, 15 minutes after that phone call, Coach Adles calls me up and says, Raymond, we're bringing you back home. We have the pick before LA. We heard LA is going to take you, but they're not going to get to. We're going to bring you in.
You get the call from Golden State. You are a warrior. You're in the NBA. Were you thinking at a young age then that you are a kind of a pioneer, like being the first Filipino, and right here in the Bay Area? How appropriate is that?
It was really tough, because I would tell people I'm Filipino, and I used to have a puñal, and I broke it in Spain, and they gave me this nose now, so I lost the only Filipino identity I had. But back in the day, I had a huge afro, and because everybody was black and most of the players on our team were black, everybody assumed I was black. So even if I said I was Filipino, and I remember this article from Sports Illustrated came out, and it said the Golden State Warriors, one of the new teams with 11 black players, 1 white player, and an all-black staff. And I remember Tom Abernathy, who's blonde hair, blue-eyed, was sitting at the end of the bench. Mm-hmm. So I was one of those 11 that was sitting on that bench, and it didn't mention anything. And I even told them, no, I'm Filipino. And I think the reason basketball is so big out in the Philippines is it stretches way beyond economic borders. I remember when I went back to the Philippines, President Marcos brought me back there as the first Filipino, and I was like the Filipino male role model. And there was, I think, Ty Babylonia. Is that name familiar? The Filipino skater, ice skater.
Yeah, I've heard the name. Yes.
She was brought over there with me. And one of the things we did, we went out to Taal, Batangas, where my family's from. And there were hoops inside of a jungle on dirt floors. Wow. Kids were playing in slippers and barefoot. Rarely did they have tennies. But the game was embraced in the jungle as well as in the city, in the gym as well as outdoors. So it became something that I think is a unifying factor for the Filipino culture. Filipino people love basketball.
And we were doing the first Filipino Heritage Nights way before anyone was doing it. I remember.
Exactly.
But you had a passion about it. And I was so impressed because you really wanted to bring basketball to the communities in the Philippines. He goes, I am working on this and that. Tell us a little bit about some of the projects, a handful of them that you want to do maybe, or some of the ones that you have done that you can and maybe inspire other people to maybe do something in the Philippines.
We're trying to work with NBA Asia and Tandaway Rum to put something together. And we were talking, our last conversation was we're going to do some camps and clinics, two in Manila, one in Baguio, one in Cebu, and then finish up in our hometown of Batangas City, in Taal, where my family's from. And it'll be like a 3-week tour. I'm really would love. Steph loves the Philippines. I'd love Steph to get involved and get over there, even if it's for one week. Just something that because the people love him. People love him all over the world, not just Filipinos, but the Filipino people have really embraced him, as a player, because he's not one of the biggest players in the league, but he's one of the most dominant players. So I think it gives a lot of the Filipino shooters hope that, eventually, and I think we're going to see a Filipino born NBA, because I know there's some things about, well, Jordan, you guys aren't born in the Philippines. So eventually I think you'll see Filipino born NBA players, and it'll happen quickly. I think you'll see in the next year or two. So what we're doing is we're going to make my original jersey, the Warrior jersey. When we go back over there, we're going to put a Filipino flag right here. And, just to represent that, yes, I carried the torch for 38 years and proudly.
Let's talk about, what Pistahan is about and what we're doing. We're talking about, renewing, recovering, and rising together. What are some of the things, just some questions about just being Filipino? What are some of the coolest things that you think about our culture and our people that you just love to talk about?
I believe that the Filipino heart is a serving heart. I mean, you talk about servants and people who go out of their way to make other people's lives bigger and better. People who are out there trying to impact others' lives for their benefit, for their best interest. That's the Filipino culture. And one of the things that I always felt, and when I not necessarily broke off, but I went into some other cities, I wanted to make sure that our pregame entertainment, our halftime entertainment, the national anthem, and our pregame meet and greet entertainment were all young Filipinos who were looking for exposure and an opportunity to show their amazing talent.
And you know what, this Filipino Heritage Night, talking about that, it has grown and evolved so much since those early plannings. When we say we go way back, we do go way back for the very first Filipino Heritage Nights when it was official. Right. Remember that?
Yes.
The Warriors. And now we have 2 nights.
Now we're just 2.
And we're so proud. It really is my 2, like when we have those 2 nights, they're my favorite nights because our community comes together and we take over the entire stadium, from front, middle, and end.
Yes, for sure.
And what made me proud, especially being the hype man for the Warriors after 20 years now, was when I saw Steph, Draymond, and Clay. Do you remember when they had
when they wore their gear? That's right.
Wore it on national TV. Yeah. And I said, we made it. And Raymond, you were a big part of that sun that represents what you paved the way with and others. It's real.
And also, I'd like Carolyn to know, if there's anything I can ever do for Pistahan, let me know. I'll be at the forefront of whatever you'd like to do, Carolyn, because I believe in your mission, believe in everything you do for the world. So let me know how in any way I could ever help, Carolyn. You can count on me. And Franco, thank you so much for just always being so kind to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. We are so proud. Raymond Townsend, first ever Filipino to be in the NBA and here with us at Pistahan. What a great conversation. If you want to find out more information about Pistahan and what we're doing to celebrate here virtually, of course, you could always go to pistahan.net and catch this, of course, on YouTube, live and Facebook, and, of course, Kumu as well. Let's renew, let's recover, and let's rise together. Raymond Townsend, it's been an honor and pleasure. My kababayans out there, let's do it. Let's make us proud. and let's keep on representing.
Thank you,
so much.
Franco.